Power outage here in the press box, knocking off our coverage, and what you missed were about 4 plays and a total of 5 yards for Wilcox Central. And they put a team charge timeout in those 4 plays, and that brought us down to the 25-second mark. Then we get a play on 3rd down that sends us to the 17-second mark, and there is your recap as to how we get here. 17 seconds away from the end of the first stanza in a 21-zip ball game. Here's the good news. You didn't miss anything from Bayside. They haven't had the football yet. After that touchdown of 42 yards from Damian Tate. Calling for the fair catch and making it at the 20 is Norton. And that is where Bayside will take over 1st down and 10. So an impressive first half of play. 30-yard touchdown pass done to Moore. 42 yards done to Norton. 41-yard Tate run. And Bayside Academy with a 21-zip lead. Cunningham good on all extra point kicks. And here's where we stand. About 10 seconds away from wrapping up the first stanza. 1st down and 10, worst field position of the ball game for Bayside. And football spotted at the 20. By the way, I've noticed now what I once thought was a yellow flag. It is actually attached to the chains. I guess it marks maybe 5 yards, pass over the middle. That is behind Tate. And knocked away, and
flags on the play.
There are flags, however. And let's see what the infraction is about. Typically, obviously, where the flags were thrown, you're thinking pass interference. Sammy Dunn has made some spectacular throws tonight. That wasn't one of them. It was behind his intended target, but apparently going to get something out of it regardless this time on the penalty. So penalty yardage will be marked off, and again got a conversation official with head coach Cheatham of Wilcox Central. I think it is safe to say Coach Cheatham is not particularly pleased with some of the calls that have been made. I've got to admit where that one was concerned. It didn't look like a flagrant pass interference. And now the officials conferring. And typically when you got the officials talking to one another, then you're thinking, well, something could change. So let's see. Does the penalty yardage stand? Do the Admirals stay right about the 35-yard line? Or are we going to get a change from the officials? A lengthy discussion with about a second left to play in the first stanza. There is the penalty yardage marked off. And apparently the infraction stands. It'll be pass interference charged to. Well, it was a personal foul. So instead of pass interference, it was the play after the fact. It was that swat by the DB on Damian Tate. So not the contact per se from a standpoint of while ball was in air, but it was the contact after the fact that drew the personal foul and the penalty yardage. So anyway you look at it, it is a 1st down and 10. Football at the 35-yard line. Handoff given to Broadhead, and Broadhead will pound his way to the 49-yard line.
Gain of about 9 yards.
Well, it was Broadhead who was the star of last week's win in overtime. On a 3rd down when it looked like Bayside was setting up for the game-winning field goal, Broadhead said, what the heck? Let me take it 11 yards into the end zone for the touchdown. He did. And Bayside turned that mark to 3-0 and turned their record against Phillip Rivers and St. Michael's to 2-0. 0-2 are the Cardinals now against the Admirals. Speaking of Phillip Rivers, everybody in the football world knows that Aaron Rodgers went down after 4 snaps for the Jets. And you know, one of the names mentioned, of course, there have been a lot of names mentioned as a quarterback added to the roster for the Jets, but one of those names has been Phillip Rivers. Of course, as I mentioned, I think everybody that is a quarterback and has played in the NFL has been mentioned. Brady, Jameson Winston. Trying to think of some others. Chase Daniels, Chad Henne. Heap of guys. Andy Dalton. Ton of the guys have been mentioned, but so far they haven't signed anybody new. How did I get from high school to NFL? Phillip Rivers got me there. St. Michael's last week. Admirals knock them off in OT. And Broadhead the game-winning touchdown. It was a very good game last Thursday night. Looked like, I've got to admit, I thought Bayside, after not scoring on the opening drive in the 4th stanza, and still it's a 2-touchdown Cardinal lead, I thought the game was pretty much over, but Bayside scores at the 8:26 mark. They score again with 2:25 to go in the game. And then that key fumble by the Cardinals on a late drive. Dunn over to Tate, makes the catch, the 45. He will cross midfield. He'll roll his way, somersault down to the 36. And the opening play of the second quarter has got Bayside inside Wilcox Central territory. And then, of course, you got the Cardinals in OT getting the football first. And when you thought they might opt to kick the field goal, and certainly at least based on extra point kicks, looked like they had a guy who was able. They opt to try to run it in and don't punch it in. Bayside gets it, and the rest history on the Broadhead touchdown run. That is Noah Kane diving his way to near the 30.
Pass complete to Noah Kane.
So Dunn using a variety of receivers. First time to Kane, and Kane gets 9. To the 31-yard line where it is 2nd down and 1. Inside 11 to play. Half number 1, a reminder at halftime, we talked with Jonathan Vines, the second-year basketball coach at Bayside. Dunn sacked back at the 43. Loss of 11. And it'll bring up a 3rd down and 12.
Sack for a loss.
Third down and 13, football at the 43. Dunn drops back, fires. That is, I believe, picked off, and it is. At the 21-yard line. Pass intended for Noah Kane, but stepping in front of it to make the pick, Jamarius Packer. And Dunn throws the pick, and the Jaguars get the football inside 10 to play. Half number 1. So the game's first turnover is an Admiral turnover. And it is 1st down and 10, Wilcox Central. 100 years of football, and Wilcox Central has had one guy make it to the NFL, Hank Harris. Played with the Redskins for 2 years. And a little bit before Iron James or Brian were even thought of, as the pass is caught Petway out to Packer, and Packer will pick up 6. 1947 was when Hank Harris played with the Washington Redskins, and he is the only Wilcox Central product to play in the NFL. Second down, we'll call it 4. Football at the 26. The only Wilcox first down was on a Bayside penalty. Pass caught by Williams. Change that now, though. He picks up the first across the 35 to the 36-yard line.
Norton with the stop.
So there is your first down created by the offense of Wilcox Central. They'll mark it at the 38 where it is first down and 10. Well, I mentioned I'm going to Georgia Military tomorrow. And James, are you heading to South Carolina or Atlanta? South Carolina. I've got on my schedule a game in Atlanta, too, at Clark Atlanta. To the outside, Jackson, he'll step out of bounds at the 42. James has got that look on his face like, man, I hope there's not one. You got that one covered, right? Clark Atlanta and Savannah State. Do we have a crew at Savannah State? Okay, good. James and I are talking about football that we've got scheduled tomorrow, and I wanted to make sure we do have Savannah State covered. Okay, Clark Atlanta, Savannah State. Right. But you're going to be at South Carolina, and we're going to be pushing the Savannah State Clark Atlanta game to ESPN Plus, and the same with the Allen University game, right? Isn't that an ESPN Plus game? And it's an incomplete pass.
Pass incomplete.
Intended to the right side, brings up a second down. 8:37 to play in the half, and Wilcox Central expending their second of 3 timeouts. We'll take the break, too, with 8:37 to play in the half. Coverage tonight brought to you in part by, actually not in part, exclusively by M&M Security and PPP, Private Personal Protection Services. And we thank very much Michael and Company for making coverage possible. We provide, they do, armed and unarmed personal security throughout the state of Alabama, working for corporations large and small. Workplace security for all reasons, including employee termination, employee threats, outside threats, and executive protection. In today's volatile climate, don't let your company or employees become a headline due to workplace violence. Call M&M Security and PPP Services today and let them keep you and your employees safe. 866-643-3038. 2nd and 14 after the penalty yardage. Petway got a receiver wide open. It is dropped and nearly picked off. Wow, he was so open. There was not an Admiral within 3 yards. But still dropped, and David Phillips had an opportunity to get the pick. So an incomplete pass brings up a 3rd down and 14. Now, there are going to be multiple things the Jaguars look at on film, and they're going to want to correct. That's going to be one of those where they say what could have been. That would have been a 56-yard pass play. Instead, it is dropped, and it's 3rd and 14. Petway to pass. Strong rush. Steps up, fires, and he's got a target open. It is caught.
That's complete.
That is Ronald Harris,
Cunningham.
who makes his way inside the 20 to the 19. That's a couple of plays back-to-back that open receivers have been able to get behind the Bayside secondary. Inside 8 to play, and inside the red zone go the Jaguars. At the 18, handoff given to Jackson. Well, there was nothing in the first spot he wanted to exploit. Able to pick up a few, though, to the outside. Actually, considering how closed the design hole was for Jackson to pick up about 5. That is a productive carry for Orlando Jackson. He's going to churn his way forward for very close to 5. It'll bring up a 2nd down. Short 6, long 5. Football at the 14. 7-11 left to play here in the opening half. Petway fires incomplete. Behind his intended target, we do not have a number 2 on our roster for Wilcox Central, but we do have a number 8, Thomas Cunningham, for the Bayside Admirals, and Cunningham was the defender on the play. 6:45 to go in the half, and another Jaguar timeout. Hey, you get this close, you get in the red zone, you're down by 21. You don't want to make mistakes that cost you the possibility of points. We'll take a break, too, and be back after this. Well, you got them, you might as well use them. And Wilcox Central just uses their 3rd timeout. So no more left in the half. Petway, incomplete pass.
Pass incomplete.
Waiting to see the backside of the jersey to tell you the intended target. That was Marius Parker. Parker is basically the guy responsible for what started this drive. Picked off the Sammy Dunn pass. And the Jaguars bringing it down the field to the 14 where it is 4th down and 6. And they will go for it at the 6:40 mark. Clock stopped after the incompletion. Petway to pass. Caught over the middle by Harris. He will find his way into the end zone. 14-yard touchdown pass.
Pass complete for a touchdown.
And the Jaguars will scratch the possibility of a shutout for the Bayside defense. So Petway finding Harris on a 14-yarder. And it is Kenyon Williams who will try to tack on the extra point. Well, this is a Jaguar team that has put points on the board against McKenzie, 28-12 against T.R. Miller. And the extra point kick is blocked. Apparently you can no longer bring it back for 2. I thought you could do that in high school. At least at some point you could. But apparently you can no longer. So the kick fails, but the touchdown stands. 21-6 Bayside. And the clock is running. I know we don't have a wide enough margin at this point to have a running clock, but we got one here on a Friday night. So we're going to keep it right here for the moment. As the Jaguars make their way to the field, Bayside. On to the turf, too. You know, I was wondering if, well, is it possible coaches have already agreed to a running clock? I don't think so. It's just a 2-touchdown lead. But we were able to squeak some time off the clock, get us inside the 6-minute mark. Might be some folks here that want to make it to Publix before they close at 10. You know, Walmart used to be 24/7. Now they're like midnight, 11 o'clock. So Columbus, Mississippi is a 2 a.m. Walmart, or used to be? Oh, that was James's set time to visit Walmart. Hey, that's the best time to visit, 2 a.m. in the morning. You're not going to have to contend with many customers. Out of the 43-yard line, and that's Teague Braunhead. He'll make his way to the 49 near midfield. And that is where Bayside will take over first down and 10. A reminder, next Friday night, we are headed to Jackson, Alabama. At least we think so. Well, we're supposed to be. So we'll see if we are there on Friday night. Big region game. They'll be taking on the Admirals will, the 4th-ranked 4A team in the state. And as a matter of fact, this region features a couple of top 10s in Jackson and T.R. Miller. Bayside just outside of that top 10. And everybody in the region with a game under their belt. So there are 8 teams. You can figure out the math. You have got 4 teams with an 0-1 mark. You've got 4 teams with a 1-0 mark. And let's see if from memory I can remember who the 1-0s are. They are T.R. Miller, Jackson, Bayside, and Escambia County, which was a little bit of a surprise to me. Team out of Admore, they are 3-0 on the year and 1-0 in region play. Escambia, I think a year ago in Admore gave Bayside trouble, but I believe the Admirals pulled that out. Heck, I don't research further than this week. Sammy Dunn, pass caught by Norton. I thought I heard a whistle prior to the catch, prior to the reception. And I'm looking to see if I see some flags anywhere. And I think I do over near the 41-yard line. So there was a whistle prior to the catch, which would tend to indicate an infraction against the offense. And it is illegal procedure. For illegal procedure, that was a late whistle. A little movement up there on the top from a receiver, but not much. Brings up a first down and 15. Dunn to Tate, makes the catch, the 40. Got red and white jerseys all around him, but somehow able to get away. 40, 35, 30, and finally wrapped up at the 26. I do not know how he got out of a mess at the 40. there were about 3 Jaguars. No blue jerseys except the one worn by Tate. But here's bad news. He's a little gimpy on his way to the sidelines. Boy, he just made folks miss. Tell you who it reminded me of on that play, and I'm going way, way back, and you don't remember this guy. His name was Darian Holloman. Played for Tallahassee Leon and then Florida State. As Broadhead makes his way to the 21. There are some Seminole fans who know who Darren Holloman is, but yeah, I mean, it's so far back, they have to be old Seminole fans. But he can make moves like that. I mean, where you've got nothing but the other team around you, and somehow you get away.
About 8 yards.
Gain down to the 21 where it is 2nd down and 4. Well, if you don't have illegal procedure there, oh boy, that was a way ahead of the snap goes Bo Anderson. He took off while everybody else looked at the sidelines. There are some plays where you're not sure if they moved. It was pretty clear. Bo Anderson, illegal procedure, 5-yard mark off. Brings up a 2nd down and 9 back to the 27. Done with Broadhead in the backfield. Give goes to Broadhead. He just pounds his way up the middle. Inside the 20, inside the 18. Okay, can I go way back and make another comparison? How about Teague Broadhead and Larry Zonka? You don't remember Larry Zonka. Okay, you do remember Larry Zonka. Okay. Just a big guy up the middle. Of course, Zonka was a little bigger. Okay. Nobody remembers but you and I, Larry Zonka. Jim Kick, Mercury Morris, Bob Greasy. That is very old school. That's back into the 70s. Broadhead to the 20-yard line, where it is 3rd down and 1. Give goes to Teague Broadhead again, and he'll make his way to the 16, pick up the 1st.
Broadhead again.
Well, here is the concern with the Broadhead reps, and that is the health of Damian Tate. He is on the sidelines, not being tended to at the moment, but he came off the field a little wobbly. Giving that ankle some rest. He looks okay on the sidelines. First and 10. Dunn fires. Moore will catch it off the deflection. That was Moore just sitting there waiting, saying, hey, I think I can still catch this 16-yarder, despite the fact it's tipped. And Moore for the 2nd time on the receiving end of a Dunn touchdown toss. This one from 16 yards out. Cunningham set to tack on the extra point. And he will drop it to the outside of the uprights. I was about to say split it, but he missed it. And it's a 27-6 ball game. Tate Moore on the receiving end of a 16-yard Sammy Dunn touchdown pass. That is 2 TD catches for Moore and 3 touchdown tosses for Dunn, as the Jaguars bring it out at the 25-yard line, and that's where it will be first down and 10. 2:23 to play in the first half. And there is an injured Jaguar on the field. So an injury timeout. And with the injury, we break. That is Orlando Jackson, injured on the return. Able to walk off the field underneath his own power. And obviously, we and the Jaguars hope to see Orlando Jackson back. You don't want to see anybody taken out of the game due to an injury. And Jackson, obviously a key figure. Catching passes out of the backfield, returning kicks, and has had some key runs as well. First down and 10, football at the 25 in a 27-6 contest. Petway steps up, and he will make his way to the 30, finally brought out of bounds by Drew Murphy.
Knocked out of bounds by Drew Murphy.
Gain of 4, close to 5, brings up a second down and 5. Fourth game of the year. Hard to believe we are already 4 games into a 10-game regular season slate. Next week at Jackson, halfway there. And obviously you want to be one of the top 4 teams in the region. Your preference would be to be 1 or 2. You go 1 or 2 in the region, you're at home. First round of the playoffs. If you are 3 or 4, you are on the road and you're facing a 1 or 2. Second down carry, and just not a whole lot of running room. Snuffed out prior to the line of scrimmage, loss of a yard or 2. Brings up a third down and long. Current number 1 team in 4A football in the state is Andalusia, the reigning state champions in 4A football. We're good to see Orlando Jackson back in. Sat out a few plays, but back in for a third down and 9. 92 seconds to play in the half. Petway with an empty backfield. Strong rush. Looks, can't find the target, steps out of bounds. Might have squeaked out a yard, but it is 4th and long. And a punting situation for the Jaguars, and they'll take as much time as they possibly can, I would assume. Of course, he stepped out, so he stopped the clock. I guess it doesn't matter. Football spotted at the 25. Wills Norton at his 47. Set to boot it away, Kenyon Williams. And we are a minute 18 away from a halftime conversation with Jonathan Vines, second-year coach for the Bayside basketball program. Norton dropped it. It is kicked And I think Kane was able to get on it at the 34-yard line. Well, give him some red Gatorade, whatever the bonus is on the sidelines, because Noah Kane kept that from being Jaguar football. It should have been Jaguar football. But Kane able to pounce on it at the 34-yard line. Well, they're going to spot it down at the 45. I am not going to explain why, because I'm not sure why. That is where it was touched by Wills Norton to begin with, but it actually wound up at the 34-yard line. But I'm sure Bayside will take it at the 45, and now they'll take 5 more, as you've got a Jaguar defender stepping off sides. That'll bring it to midfield where it is 2nd and 5. Tate back in that backfield, so apparently the ankle was a little bummed up earlier is okay now. On a 1st down and 5 from the 50. Over to Moore. Nothing there. Able to maintain his balance, and he is wrapped up after a loss of 4. It'll bring up a 2nd down and 9. Jonathan Vines, by the way, the basketball coach who was the former Belhaven University head basketball coach. Now at Bayside, finished 14 and 14 in his first season, won the region, and now once more we'll talk with him at halftime. Timeout on the field, 54 seconds left in the half. .54 seconds to play in the half. Bayside with a 27-6 lead. We'll give you a scoring rundown and then get to our interview with Coach Vines in a little less than a minute. 2nd down and 9, football at the 46 for Bayside. Dunn to pass. Fires, it is caught. That is Broadhead. And Broadhead will be wrapped up. No, that is not Broadhead. That is Wills Norton.
About 8 yards.
Picks up 7, brings up a 3rd and 3. Half minute to go in the half. Handoff given to Tate. Tate got the 1st down. And he is down again, and this time clutching that ankle. And now you got Sammy Dunn. Well, now Dunn is indicating it is a knee and not an ankle. And I think Tate has just reached for his left knee. Here's the kind of moves that a non-injured Damian Tate, who, by the way, looked like he got right there, he planted, and it really looked like a non-contact injury when he planted the foot. Came up a little bit gimpy, but it wasn't gimpy enough to keep him out of the ball game. And now he has either re-injured what he hurt earlier or hurt something new. And And Damian Tate, well, he's putting weight on the knee. That's a good sign. I don't know if it's a good enough sign, but it's certainly far better than having to be carried off the field. And you got to believe in a 27-6 ball game, 22 seconds away from halftime, that Damian Tate might get the rest of the night off, even if it is an injury that would allow him to get back onto the field. But we will see what Barrett Trotter and company plan where Damian Tate is concerned. First down and 10, 22 seconds to play in the half. And trotting onto the field is Cade Lyons. We have not seen Lyons in the backfield today, the freshman. But he is there now. Dunn will roll out. Look downfield, nobody open. He'll get as much yardage as he can before stepping out near the 40. And the Admirals with time for one more play. Well, Cade Lyons, who has not carried the football in the first half, might be carrying it a lot in the second half. As Damian Tate is on the sidelines and bummed up. Second down and 7, but it's more like second and 41. They've got 4 seconds to try to hit 6. Instead, dumped over the middle and dropped immediately is Bo Anderson. He'll get to the 35 and add a few more passing yards to the Sammy Dunn first half stats. But that'll bring the first half to an end, and the scoring goes this way. 11-11 to play in the first. Dunn with a 30-yard touchdown pass to Moore. The kick good. Admirals by 7. 6:14 to play in the first. A 42-yard Dunn touchdown pass to Norton. Cunningham again good on the kick. 14-zip Admirals. And the rest of the first quarter scoring, a 41-yard Damian Tate touchdown run. Again, Cunningham the kick. That was with 2:25 to play in the first. Bayside led at 21-zip. First score in the second stanza came from the Jaguars, their only score of the first half. Petway on a 4th down, hitting Harris on a 14-yard touchdown strike. The extra point kick blocked, and it was 21-6. And with 2:30 to play in the half, Dunn finds Moore on a 16-yard touchdown strike. The extra point kick no good, and it's a 27-6 ball game at the half. Our halftime guest, Jonathan Vines, the basketball coach at Bayside. Great to have with us at halftime Jonathan Vines, the basketball coach at Bayside Academy. Coach, how you doing?
Robert, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it is great to have you. Before I get started, especially in these first-time interviews, I always like to get some background. And, of course, I've read online some of the background where Jonathan Vines is concerned. But if you had to put together a bio, give me some background on you.
Well, Robert, I'll start with the real MVP. My wife is a Bayside graduate, so that was our connection to Bayside Academy. She graduated in 2004, but I had only been in college basketball leading up to my time here. I was at Birmingham Southern College for 7 years as the assistant coach, and then I was at a school called Belhaven University in Jackson, Mississippi for 8 years as the head coach there. And then when we saw there was an opportunity here at Bayside, we had always kind of talked about trying to get back to this area if we could with our family, and we have 2 young girls that go to school here. And we just had to jump on that opportunity when it opened up.
Where you are concerned personally from a vocational standpoint, I guess maybe we are stereotypical or we just have this set mindset that these are the levels of achievement. As a coach, you want to be at the high school, then you want to be maybe at a JUCO, and then you go to maybe a smaller NCAA team, and then you work your way on up. I have noticed this year, I don't know if you know Jessica McBrayer at Wallace Hansville, but she took a high school coaching job and stepped down from a head coaching at a junior college. I mean, was that in any vocational shape, form, or fashion in your mind a step back to go to the high school?
Honestly, it wasn't. You know, such a large part of the college game is recruiting, and rightfully so. But it does feel at times like you can't fully invest yourself in the players that you already have on your roster, because everything is about that next recruiting class. And you know, honestly, I was spending so much time on the road, and as our daughters were getting a little bit older, you know, 9 and 3 years old, I just decided that I wanted to be able to get home after practice and spend time with my family. And it's been just a tremendous experience. And getting to really invest your time in relatively the same group of guys from 7th grade on up. I have found that to be tremendously rewarding. And Robert, I'll tell you this, you know, when I was a young, small college coach, the first year that Birmingham Southern was eligible to make the NCAA tournament, we made it. And you know, I thought that was, you know, the zenith of small college basketball achievement, and that was great, and that was a ton of fun. But you know, winning the Class 4A Area 1 championship in the regular season last year, I'm gonna tell you, that was every bit as exciting as participating in an NCAA tournament. So honestly, this felt like a step up to me.
14-14 a season ago, as you mentioned, win the region. We've never spoken before, so I didn't know what your goals were from a year ago. So assess last year. Did you achieve what you wanted to achieve, and what's acceptable this year?
I honestly, I think we achieved more than we ever thought was possible. You know, from the first time I got here in the summer of 22. You know, we were just establishing a new way of doing things, and a new way of competing, and a new way of practicing, and a new way of interacting with teammates. And then, you know, to fast forward to February, and we're winning a championship over at Orange Beach. It was, you know, beyond what we could have imagined. I think, you know, the year before I arrived, Bayside was coming off a 9-21 season, and last place in the area in 3A, and then to move up to 4A, and have to battle with a school like, you know, UMS Wright, who was just coming off a Final Four berth in 5A the previous year. You know, to be able to beat those guys and have a point differential advantage, that was huge. That was huge for our guys, and just the fact that they were able to gain belief, you know, belief that we could beat a UMS Wright or a St. Paul's, you know, to do some things that, you know, hadn't been accomplished here in several years in boys basketball. That was incredibly rewarding, and I just could not have been more proud of those guys last year and those seniors that we had.
Well, you know, with winning championships, what you do is now establish a level of expectation. So now that's part of the framework for the new year. And maybe is that additional pressure in that expectation to win, or is it part of what you see as part of the process of building a championship program?
I think it is additional pressure, but you know, in our program we talk about pressure being a privilege. You know, this should be a fun thing. We're excited that we changed the conversation around Bayside boys basketball, and now it's up to us to put in the work every day, and to have forward momentum going into this season. And it's been really fun to see our guys accept that challenge and fully believe that we belong there. Okay, that we belong. Being in the hunt, being in the fight for championships year in, year out. That's been really cool.
I would assume one of the biggest changes from college to high school, particularly in this case, is that at the collegiate level, you don't have multiple sport athletes, but you do at Bayside. You got a lot of guys that are playing a multiplicity of sports. Some coaches like it, some don't. Do you like that?
I love it. I was at the Division III level in NCAA, and in particular, the post players that we were able to attract, that we were able to recruit, they were always sort of project players. That's why we could get them at that level. So when I look at our roster and I see a guy like Graham Uter, standing there at 6'5.5" and 275 pounds, I would have killed to have had, that physical frame even when I was in college, So I'm excited that we've got a bunch of multi-sport athletes and guys that are doing things year round, because it's a good looking roster. It really is. So I'm really excited about what we can do this year.
I got to mention the fact that when you were a Briarwood Christian standout, you hit 49 consecutive free throws.
Oh,
free throws are kind of like a diminishing art. Folks just don't hit free throws like they used to. I mean, is there added emphasis where you're concerned, especially based on your track record of being very good at the foul line, on emphasizing free throws?
Yeah, Robert, I was not a great athlete, but I could shoot. That was my thing. I was a shooter. And you said it. We place a premium on being able to shoot the three and being able to make free throws. I convinced one of our seniors last year, Bly Claremont, I convinced him to shoot underhanded free throws because I thought his percentage would go up, and he bought in and he did it. And I'll tell you, he hit 2 underhanded free throws in a game last year that we won by 1 point. So it matters. But in this year, even more so, they've done away with the 1-and-1. There's no more 1-and-1 free throws in high school basketball in the state of Alabama. So when you hit that 5th team foul in each quarter, you're shooting 2 free throws every time for the remainder of that quarter. So it's even more important now that we spend time at the free throw line. So thankfully, I have some experience there.
Well, you got to tell me, I did not realize in Alabama they'd done away with 1-and-1. So how do you like that? I mean, I'm immediately trying to analyze whether I like it or not. There's parts I would like and parts I wouldn't like about it. What do you think?
I think if you're a really aggressive team, if you're a pressing team, if you like to get into people defensively, I think it's a good thing that those fouls reset after the first quarter and after halftime and after the third quarter. I think that's good for a very aggressive defensive group. But as a team that spends a lot of time in skill development, and we spend a lot of time shooting and on the gun shooting machine, I'm pretty excited about shooting 2 free throws every time. It's all about points per possession. Okay. So the highest points per possession by and large that you can get on any given possession in a basketball game is anytime you go to the free throw line. That's the best result. I tell our guys this every year, if you could choose between Steph Curry attempting a 3 or Dwight Howard going to the free throw line, statistically, you should still take Dwight Howard going to the free throw line. It's not by much, but it's a slightly higher points per possession. So I love that because I think we're going to be making free throws at a pretty good clip, and that's going to work out well for us.
Last question. What is an acceptable season in 2023-24 for Bayside Academy and specifically for Jonathan Vines?
Well, wins and losses aside, I think for us and for me, any program that I'm associated with, it's got to be about more than basketball. Okay. If the only thing my guys carry on into their lives is how did we attack a zone defense, or what defense did we play, or what did we, then I've missed the boat badly. So we teach competing as a skill. I think it's a repeatable skill that translates to anything that you're doing. So that's the number one thing I'm looking for is, are our guys competing? Are they getting up every day and strapping on their boots and going to work, right? Because they're going to have competition when they leave here, in college, in their place of employment. So if we can look at being a competitor as a learned skill and a translatable skill, that's success for us. And the wins and losses, I feel like they're gonna work themselves out. But if we're competing the way I know we can, if we're doing what I know we're capable of, I don't see any reason why we can't compete for an area championship year in, year out.
Coach, great goals. Won it last year. I know you want the same and maybe even go beyond that region championship this season. Great talking with you. Let's do this again. Thanks for being our guest at halftime.
Thank you, Robert. That was a ton of fun. Thank you.
University of Alabama Online, where legends log in. A tradition of excellence. Decades of experience in distance learning. Empowering students of all ages. More than 90 degree and certificate programs to advance your career. UA Online. Flexible, affordable, legendary. Let your computer be your campus. Visit online.ua.edu.
Frustrated. She's having trouble with her defensive player. Look at this sweet pass behind the back. Her 2 on the assist.
And that one is hit on a rope to center field. Watch that one. And it is, oh, what a great diving catch by the center field.
And in that game, it was basically a running back by committee. I mean, you had a lot of guys carrying the football. Is that the protocol for the upcoming season for the backfield of Jackson State?
It's a really nice pitch to get the ground ball double play. Second one.
6-5 is your final. East Georgia advances to the championship game.
I want to make a reminder that our coverage is brought to you exclusively tonight by M&M Security and PPP Services. And, of course, PPP standing for Private Personal Protection. They provide armed and unarmed personal security throughout the state of Alabama, working for corporations large and small. Workplace security for all reasons, including employee termination, employee threats, outside threats, and executive protection. In today's volatile climate, don't let your company or employees become a headline due to workplace violence. Call today and keep you and your employees safe. Toll free, 866-643-3038, 866-643-3038. Well, we're getting set for second half action, and of course we head into stanza number 3. And you know, typically what we do in the third, that's take your shout-outs. So if you are watching online and you want to send out a shout to a player, to a coach, to an umpire, to a fan, you know, that's watching elsewhere, you can do it in the third. 334-488-1385, the number That will be attached to your scoreboard. 334-388-1385. Did I say 388? I thought I did. I don't even know my own phone number. It's 488-334-488-1385. Jackson takes it from the 8. Out to the 20-yard line. He will make his way to the 26. And that's where the Jaguars will take over, first down and 10. And your shout-outs go all third stanza long. If we get through the quarter quickly, you hadn't got a lot of time. It takes a while to get through 12 minutes of football. You got some time. And this is probably a good spot to say happy birthday to number 66, Will Allen. He turned 16 on September 14th. And a special happy birthday from all the family. Michael, Alicia, Mia, Alex, Papa, Ray, Gamma, Danny, and Grandmother Shirley all saying happy birthday to Will Allen, 16 yesterday. Happy birthday, Will, from all the family. 334-488-1385. Shout-outs in the third. Handoff given to Jackson. Jackson will bounce it to the left side. He will make something out of nothing, picking up 4. And, of course, too, as you know, the cell reception here is suspect. So it's kind of like a log jam, and every now and then that jam opens and all the shout-outs come flowing in. May take a little while, but you send them, we'll get them, and we'll read them eventually. Gain of 3 for Jackson out to the 29-yard line. Brings up a second down and 7. Opening drive of the second half. Petway and Jackson in the backfield. It'll be interesting to see, and I'm looking to the sidelines to see if Damian Tate is still with shoulder pads or if he has gone to more of a street clothes look. Petway firing deep, and Harris can't make the catch at the 30.
Pass broken up by Norton.
Just got a feeling that Tate, even if he was able to get back into the ball game, just might not, just to make sure that he's okay and is ready for the number 4 ranked team in the state of Alabama in 4A football next Friday night. Jackson. Incomplete pass, stops the clock, 10:48 to play in the third. Football spotted at the 29 where it is third down and 7. And don't forget, too, to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, although I understand it's no longer called Twitter, it's called X. So it's X. No Twitter, now X. I know I've kind of overdone it in telling you that I just don't like the X. I like the little bird. Incomplete pass, there was contact. But the contact does not draw a foul between Cunningham and Jamarius Packer. And it'll bring up a 4th down and long. I think what really sealed the deal for me on not liking the X, I mean, I wasn't particularly fond of it to begin with, but Kim, my wife, said it reminded her of the swastika that was on the forehead of Charles Manson. And I'm like, okay, you know, it does look a little bit like that. So I already didn't like it, and then I didn't like it more. But he didn't call. He didn't ask. Bobble snap. Harris will be dropped at the 19. And Bayside will take over first down and 10. Inside the red zone. Pretty good spot to start your first drive of the second half. It'll be first down and 10. Sammy Dunn walking out onto the turf. Looks like he will have, well, I've seen lions at the side of that huddle, so I don't know if that he is going to be the gentleman who trots onto the field representing the backfield. It's not Lions, it is instead Broadhead. Still scanning the sidelines to see if I can see a number 4 somewhere. Damian Tate, and I thus far haven't seen a number 4. First down and 10 in the 19. First drive of the second half for Barrett Trotter's Admirals of Bayside. First year at the helm. And it's been an impressive start. 3 consecutive wins, trying to make it 4 straight. Dunn with Broadhead in the backfield. Trips to this side. Pass is caught by Anderson. Touchdown. One play, 19-yard drive, and another Bayside touchdown. So at the 10:30 mark, Sammy Dunn has hit his 4th touchdown pass. And they've gone to 3 different receivers. Moore twice, Norton, and now Anderson. And Bayside with a 33-6 lead. Got a flag prior to the Cunningham kick. And apparently whatever infraction declined, ball spotted at the 10, which is the typical placement for the extra point try. And this time it is George Guaneras who will plant it through the uprights and extend that lead to 34-6. Freshman George Gueras planting it through the uprights, makes it a 34-6 ball game. Well, I mentioned the shout-outs will come in bundles because of the cell service here. Here's a shout-out to number 66, Will Allen from Papa, Ray Ray, and Aunt Debbie in Opelika, saying, "Go Admirals." Thanks to Opelika for checking in. Go Admirals, go Drew Murphy from Gigi, Aunt Laura, and the cousins in Huntsville, Alabama. Good to hear from Huntsville. Jackson sandwiched at the 31. Talk about the stopping your forward progress. Shout out to Graham Miles and ball boy Matt Muter from Uncle Doug in Prairieville, Louisiana, saying "Go Admirals," spelled in that Louisiana fashion, G-E-A-U-X. Shout out to Will Pettis from Grandpa in Joplin, Missouri. Thank you guys for the broadcast. Thank you, Joplin, Missouri, and Will Pettis' grandpa for watching the game. Special shout out to Graham Muter, number 50, Miles Muter, number 13, and to Matt Muter, the Wonder Boy. Mama Lisa and Paul Wally, appreciate your hard work and happy birthday to the fantastic mother of these boys, Conley Muter. Well, happy birthday to you, Conley. First and 10 at the 30. Petway, high pass, incomplete. I think Kenyon Williams might have heard a few footsteps as he was reaching high, thinking there are some unprotected ribs that would be available on that high toss. Incomplete pass brings up a second and 10. Go Admirals, fun watching grandsons Teague Broadhead, number 11, and Banks Broadhead Wonder Boy and broken arm from football practice. Grammy and G-Paw in Marietta, Georgia. Well, darn it. Hate to hear that Wonder Boy's got a broken arm. Hope it heals quickly, because that's got him away from the game, at least playing the game. He's near it tonight as the Wonder Boy. Petway flushed out of the pocket, goes left side. Looked like he was going to pick up a lot more yardage than he did. Dropped after a gain of 2. And initiating the stop was Burke Brown. Brings up a 2nd down and 8.
Burke Brown and Mo Parton in on the tackle.
Well, the shout-out says, and I do not write them, I only read them, put Roman Trotter out there. This is a blowout. Bandy from Birmingham. All right, thank you, Bandy. Up in Birmingham. We'll send the message to the sidelines to Barrett Trotter. Petway wrapped up, dropped behind the line of scrimmage, back at the 26-yard line, and not only does Tate Moore catch passes, he catches passers and drops Petway at the 27. Shout out for Bayside from Tate Moore's Nene in Camden, Alabama. Good to hear from Nene checking in from Camden. 4th down and 14. Ready to put it away is Kenyon Williams. Low, wobbly, and over-end kick. Out of bounds near the 45. And for the second possession in the second half, Bayside starts inside Wilcox Central territory. And that clock continuing to roll. Well, you know, Publix, again, they close at 10. It's 10 till 9. Heck, if I get out of here by 10, Kim is going to say, hey, can you stop at Publix? Pick me up some yogurt. Shout out to the Admirals. Proud to see the Cunningham boys on the field. Hope they can swing the hammer like their daddy. From John N. Thompson saying, go Admirals. Thank you very much, John N. Shout out to Barrett Trotter from the Hadleys. Thank you very much, Hadleys. Done. Incomplete to Bo Anderson. A little bit short. And Dunn patting the chest as if to say, my bad. Well, there haven't been many bad passes from Dunn tonight. That one and maybe the one to Damian Tate earlier, like in the first quarter. Otherwise, just about everything's been on the mark. 2nd down and 10, Dunn to pass. Lyons makes the catch. Penalty flags fly. Lyons inside the 31 near the 30-yard line. But let's see what the penalty is back at the 43. That is often in the area of a hole. Maybe a receiver trying to contain a defender and create an opportunity for Lyons. Let's see what the officials say. Well, we know it's against Bayside. I'm going to go do a refresher course on officiating signs because obviously they have changed. To me, that was the San Diego Chicken. But apparently it's something else. And it's a 15-yard mark-off. And it will go against Bayside back to the 43-yard line. Something of the chop block variety, maybe. Eight minutes to play in the third stanza. 8 minutes left in your shoutouts. 334-488-1385. 2nd down and lots. Give goes to Lyons. And he will nudge forward to the 48. Gain of 8 near midfield. And it'll bring up a 3rd down and long. Well, again, I'm continuing to look on the sidelines, and I don't see a Damian Tate. I take that as a not particularly good sign. if he was just injured to an extent that, hey, let's sit him for the rest of the game, but he'll be okay. What a strike! That is caught by Miles Uter, and he'll find his way to the end zone on the 51-yard touchdown pass. You talk about on the money. Just a perfect pass. And Miles Uter going 51 yards. Touchdown strikes to 4 different guys from Dunn. And George Guarneris will be on the field for his second extra point effort. The freshman kicker getting an opportunity tonight, and he will plant it right through the uprights. Lead goes to 41 with 7 minutes left to play in the third. Seven minutes to play in the third, a 41-6 Bayside advantage. Jackson taking the kick inside the 9, turns around near the 4, and he's running laterally, able to cut it upfield at the 10, the 15, gets near the 20 before stepping out of bounds. And that's where it will be first down and 10 for Wilcox Central. Bayside Academy's largest margin of victory, 52 points. Currently lead by 35. Most points scored, 66. Currently with 41. So a couple of marks that are within reach. But I don't think Bayside is going to strive for those marks. First down and 10. Wilcox Central with the football at the 18-yard line. Dunn with 5 touchdown passes, 2 to Moore, 1 to Norton, 1 to Anderson, 1 to Uter. And I don't know what local media does like a player of the week, but I can pretty confidently tell you Sammy Dunn is already up for consideration. Jamarius Parker sandwiched at the 16. There is a penalty flag on the far side of the field, and down is Parker. But he will be assisted up, apparently okay. We'll have our heat break at the 5:47 mark in the third with Bayside up by 35. 5:46 to play in the third. Second down and 14. Bayside, a decision to make between a second and 14 or a first and 15. A replay of first down after the illegal procedure call against the Jaguars. Obviously, that's not a particularly difficult decision. Take the down and the loss of 3 versus the penalty and a loss of 5. Pass is caught. Able to clear a little space was Javon Petaway. And you got a new guy tossing the football. That was Petaway on the reception. Let's see who it is throwing the football now. And it'll bring up a first down and 10 out to the 47-yard line. That is Kenyon Williams, who is now taking the snap. So Williams with the throw to his former quarterback, Petway. On the big completion out to the 47, they'll be pushed back 5 on the illegal procedure call. And it'll bring up a first down and 15. Shout out to Tate Moore from Aunt Monica on Dauphin Island. Thank you very much, Aunt Monica. As the Seagull flies, that's not too far from here. Dauphin Island. Time on the field, 4:49 to play in the third. And as I mentioned in the first half, where the Jaguars are concerned, they're like, heck, we got the timeouts, might as well use them. They used all 3 in the first half, and they're working on their 3 in half number 2. Well, a reminder tomorrow, junior college football, Georgia Military College taking on Lackawanna. First of 2 meetings between the teams. And we'll have the coverage for you with a 11:45 pregame and a 12 o'clock kickoff. And if you want to catch the work of James Crenshaw and his crew, hopefully you've got ESPN Plus. Allen University football and Savannah State football on ESPN Plus, produced by the crew. Then volleyball coming up on Monday. We'll do volleyball at what used to be Coastal East and is now Coastal North in Brewton, Alabama, on Monday, and Coastal South, which, by the way, is playing at Bay Minette Middle while their gym is renovated. Williams able to make his way to midfield, and here comes another one of those familiar sights, a penalty flag. So you got a face mask call. Charged to the Jaguars. It's unusual to see a face mask by the offensive player. Might have been right. Now and then you got a little punch thrown. Well, I say a punch. It's kind of a punch, shove, get out of my way. And all of it irrelevant because the infraction has been declined. .437 to play in the third. And when you decline a 15-yard mark-off, I think that is an indication you're ready for this game to get through the rest of the third and through the fourth and pack it up and get ready for week 5 of the season. Football spotted at the 43. Well, now they apparently have accepted the penalty, I would assume. Something was marked off, despite the fact the official gave us the penalty declined indicator. Jackson wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage. He will be dropped. So the tackle for a loss, and now another penalty flag. There was Monroe Parton on the tackle. am wondering if they have thrown Orlando Jackson out of the game. Got an unsportsmanlike call against the Jaguars, and at least from this vantage point, it looked like the official was indicating to Orlando Jackson, get to the sidelines. Now, I don't know if that get to the sidelines is I've heard enough and shut up, or if it is you're out of the ballgame. There you see the flag coming out. Well, if we don't see Jackson again, we know the answer. Yeah, he's escorting him to the sidelines, and right there. So an unsportsmanlike call turns it into a 3rd and a lot. Got to cross midfield, get inside the 45, down to the 43-yard line to pick up the first. On a 4th down for the Jaguars with 4:03 to play. It is 4th down and got a whistle. And I don't see a flag, but that doesn't mean there's not one. Or you might just have a timeout. And apparently that's what you got to call timeout. And I would again think Bayside wants to get this one wrapped up. I got a feeling this is a Wilcox Central timeout. We'll take the break too. 3:56 to play in the 3rd. Three minutes, 56 seconds left to play in the 3rd. Timeout asked for by the Jaguars prior to the snap. And with Kenyon Williams now at QB, you're not sure whether he's going to do the kicking or the QBing on a 4th down. You would assume kick, but he's not back particularly deep, although it is a punt formation, and now you get another penalty flag. I think somebody needs to tell the umps that you and I have long drives tonight. And that's right. Publix is closing in 54 minutes. And the wife wants me to pick up some siesta chips. Penalty yardage marked off against the Jaguars. And they will go into what looks like a punting formation, but it's going to be a really shallow snap and a short kick. To the 40-yard line goes Wills Norton.
Wills Norton.
And that's where Bayside will take over. 1st down and 10. Outside of Bayside Academy, it has been a long time since I've done high school football, but when we worked games in Florida, there was a point at which the margin got you a running clock. So it's happening here, 35 plus apparently. So in Alabama, 35 is the magic number. And we've got a running clock with Sammy Dunn, a late arrival onto the field. Cade Lyons going, hey, am I supposed to QB this play? Dunn says, no, I'll take care of it. Hands it to Lyons. He'll bounce it to the outside, 35-30, 25-20, 15-10, 5, touchdown, but there is a penalty flag back at the 16. And that may nullify this one. It is somewhere right in here, right there. Got a block to the back. And it will take the 6 off the board. So scratch the 6, the touchdown for the freshman. Penalty yardage marked off. It's from the point of infraction. That could have had an impact on the play. It definitely created that seam to the inside for Lyons. Penalty yardage back to the 28, but more significantly takes 6 off the board for Cade Lyons. Brings up a first down and 10. Dunn. He'll put a knee to the turf at the 30. So Sammy Dunn is like, you know what? We're leading by 35. There's a minute 43 to go in the game. It's a running clock. It's a region win. We got Jackson next week. I got hurt playing Wilcox Central last year. Why do it this year? Puts a knee wisely to the turf at the 30 after the play was busted. And it brings up a second down and 11, close to 12. And off given to Lyons, and Lyons trying to get back to the line of scrimmage. Well, if they would let these guys wear those tearaway jerseys that Johnny Musso used to wear for the University of Alabama, then he would have sprung forward for big yardage. I know I'm going way back again. Okay, you went to Alabama, but you never heard of Johnny Musso while you were at Alabama? Lions in motion. Pass is out of reach for Lyons. And it'll bring up a 4th down. Well, I thought we had a running clock. Clock is stopped with 44 seconds to play in the 3rd. Fourth down and 12, football at the 32. Dunn. Pass is caught by Keelan Stacy. And Stacy not going to be able to pick up the first. He will make his way inside the 25. Throws to the official, and it hit Bo Miller right in the head. And that wasn't one of those little lobs. I mean, he just zipped one back to the official.
Keelan Stacy on the catch.
Stacy not able to pick up the first. It has been an unusual night of football at Freedom Field here in Daphne. Got started with an infraction. And then we were 2 plays into the ball game, and Bayside already had a touchdown. 1st and 10. And Petway's back at quarterback. Flush out of the pocket, rolling to the left side. He will make his way for a gain of 8, close to 9. Bringing up a 2nd down and short as the waning moments of the 3rd tick away. We are wrapped up with 3. finishing your shout-outs. Thank you very much. Good to hear from you wherever you're watching the game tonight. We head into the final 12 minutes of this one right after this. Well, I saw Barron Trotter go over and talk to the officials. I always wonder in situations like this if you are asking if a coach will allow or concede that the clock should run nonstop. I don't know if that was part of the conversation or not. We'll see, though, as we get into the fourth here in a 41-6 ball game. Bayside is going to go to 4-0 on the year. Sammy Dunn has put on a show. 5 touchdown passes to 4 different receivers, but it is not a Friday night without its concerns, and that is, of course, the health of Damian Tate. And I think I've just spotted Tate now. He has jersey off, and he is limping noticeably. But that's right. He's not at the hospital. He's not on crutches. He doesn't have one of those boots on. So hopefully those are all good signs. And Damian Tate has just been given the rest of the night off to try to take care of whatever pain currently exists. On a 2nd down and short, no gain. Maybe even a loss of a yard brings up a 3rd down and 5. Yeah, there is a Jaguar very slowly getting up.
Miller and Anderson in on the tackle.
And we have got a pause in the action to tend to the Wilcox Central player. Let's take a break, too. Come right back.
Correction.
$11:24 left to play in this one. In a ball game that, well, when it gets out of hand, you start talking about stuff that's irrelevant. And here's something that I guess is not relevant to the game. Interesting to me, maybe nobody else. But if you played 100 years of football, it would seem like you have a rival that you've played more than 38 times. The longest rival for Wilcox Central is Pine Hill. They've played them 38 times. At Petway, launching one deep, it will be caught. And going for the pick was the DB, and that allows 6 for Jamarius Packer.
Touchdown.
70-yard pass play. So we have seen 7 touchdown passes in this one. 2 by Wilcox Central and 5 by Bayside. This one is 70-yarder to Jamarius Packer. Petway's 2nd touchdown toss of the night. And after missing the extra point kick on the first TD, Jaguars will try for the 2. Petway will find his way into the end zone, and the 2-point conversion good. So a 41-14 contest with 10:25 and apparently a running clock here in the 4th. Well, I think it is safe to say we have indeed entered the land of the running clock. It went all the way through our timeout, got us down to the 9-minute mark here in the 4th. Kick from Williams, brought in at the 20. And that is, I think, Broadhead backing his way to the 45. And that is where Bayside will take over first down and 10. Let's see if we got new guys at new positions. As we get inside 9 to play. Well, the clock ran through the timeout. It stops after the kickoff return. I'm not really sure why, but we're stopped at the 8:44 mark in the 4th. Other irrelevant, but I find interesting fact. 100 years of football, 889 games, and only 8 overtime games for Wilcox Central. But Bayside, 23 years of football, and they've had half that many in 23, 4 OT games. Okay, I realize completely and totally irrelevant, but it's 41-13. I think that 41-14. I believe that is Weston Hanneman on the carry. I think that was a 6 and not a 9. It is a 6. Hanneman picking up a couple of yards. Brings up a 2nd down and 8. And now you've got a Bayside team that's saying, hey, let's focus on running time off that clock. New quarterback, the freshman Bo Miller. On a 2nd and 8. Again, Hanneman on the carry. Picks up another 2, maybe 3. It'll bring up a 3rd and 5. Jackson next Friday night. We'll be in Jackson. At least that's the plan. That's a little caveat. Yeah, we'll probably be in the stands. I don't think we'll be in the press box, but we're going to try to be there. Bring you coverage on Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff. It's a big ball game for Bayside, taking on the 4th-ranked team in 4A football in the state of Alabama. And if you're looking at the 1 or 2 spots in the region, as the handoff goes to Hanneman, he's got the first. Lost the football, and Wilcox Central falls on it at the 38. So Hanneman enough for the first, but then fumbles it away, and Wilcox Central will have it.
Hanneman picks up the first down. Ends up on it. Great run, though.
So Hanneman, the nice run, the nice pickup, the first down carry, but then pretty solid wrap. Lost the football. Wilcox Central will have it. Wilcox Central will go to 0-2 against this Bayside Academy squad. Second meeting between the two on the season. Will go to 0-3. And of course 0-2 in the region as well. Petway flushed out of the pocket. And he'll make his way to midfield before being brought out of bounds near the 48. I think the flag was about to come out for a late hit. But the umpire said, you know what, darn it. There's that Publix factor. And, it's getting close to closing time, and game's already out of hand. He stuck it back in the pocket. First down and 10, football at midfield for Wilcox Central. Lost 47-28 to McKenzie, 47-12 to T.R. Miller. And down 41-14 in this one. About to fall to 110 and 222 in away games. Three yards on the carry, inside Bayside territory to the 47. And let's see if we get that lone remaining fourth quarter heat break, or if the officials just say, hey, play on. It is a lot cooler than it was when the heat break started. Petway able to step out of would-be tackler hands and finds his target down to the 25. On the stop is Burt Brown. On the reception is Jamarius Packer. Well, we are going to have the heat break. 5:30 to play in the game. And we will take time for the guys to hydrate. And that'll give us a chance to say thanks one more time to the folks that are making our coverage possible tonight. That is M&M Investigations, LLC, a full-service investigation company specializing in insurance fraud and criminal defense. They've worked thousands of insurance fraud investigations, licensed in Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Colorado. They work death penalty cases and provide criminal defense in the state of Alabama. And by M&M Security and PPP Services, providing armed and unarmed personal security throughout the state of Alabama. They work for corporations large and small. Workplace security for all reasons, including employee termination, employee threats, outside threats, and executive protection. In today's volatile climate, don't let your company or employees become a headline due to workplace violence. Call M&M Security and PPP Services today and keep you and your employees safe. 5.5 to go in this one. In a 41-14 game. Don't forget Georgia Military College, Lackawanna tomorrow. On Monday, Coastal North Volleyball. Tuesday, Coastal South. And then back to Bayside Academy football on Friday of next week at Jackson. Just noticed an injury, too, to a Jaguar. We do not have a 23 listed on the roster, but he is being assisted to the sidelines, and once he gets to the sidelines, reaching for the hamstring. First and 10, Wilcox Central at the 25. A lot of Bayside youngsters getting some playing time here in the final part of the fourth. Petway to pass, fires, it is incomplete.
Pass incomplete.
Well, again, a look at the scoring as we get ready to wrap things up. It started early for Bayside and happened often. 11-11 to play in the first, and Sammy Dunn hit his first of 5 touchdown passes 2 of which went to Tate Moore. At the 11-11 mark, it was a 30-yard pass. Cunningham the kick, and Bayside led at 7-zip. 2nd down and 10 for Wilcox Central. Incomplete pass in and out of the hands of Jamarius Packer. 6:14 to go in the first. A 42-yard touchdown pass. Dunn finding Norton. And again, Cunningham with the kick. And it was a 14-zip lead as you got a penalty flag on the field. Ineligible receiver downfield. 2:25 to play in the first. The lone non-touchdown pass TD. Damian Tate, a 41-yard run. Extra point kick from Cunningham, good. Bayside led it after a stanza, 21-zip. Quarter number 2, Petway, his first of 2 touchdown passes for Wilcox Central. 14-yarder to Harris. Extra point try fails. It's a 21-6 ball game. And with 2.5 to play in the half, Sammy Dunn finds Tate Moore from 16 yards out. The extra point kick no good. It's a 27-6 game at that point. Petway inside the 10, finally brought out of bounds at the 6 by Bo Miller. And that's how we wound up at the half with a 27-6 ball game. Stanza number 3. Sammy Dunn, a 19-yard touchdown pass to Bo Anderson. And George Goeris came in and kicked the extra point, 34-6 Admirals. 6:56 to play in the third, 51-yard touchdown pass. Dunn to Uter. And Miles Uter made it a 41-6 game with, again, the freshman booting the extra point, Guaneris. And in the fourth, Petway, 70-yard touchdown pass to Packer. 2-point conversion good for Petway. And that's what's got us here with 2:44 to play. 41-14 ball game. Petway dropped to the 10. Two minutes, 23 seconds to play. 2nd and goal from the 10. Pass over the middle, caught by Harris, and he'll be dropped at the 2. Where it will be 3rd and goal.
Stopped him just shy of the goal line.
Bayside Academy 46-3 in games in which they have scored 40 points or more. And it looks like they're on their way to a 47-3 mark, where that stat is concerned. 3rd and goal at the 3. Clock rolling, 90 seconds to play. Wilcox Central trying to punch it in. From 3 yards out, Petway will step back, then step in and score what will likely be the last points of the game. With a minute 20 to play, Petway, 2-yard touchdown run. Unless, of course, there was a penalty. I didn't see any flags. But that doesn't mean there wasn't one. And there wasn't. 2-point conversion for Petway and company. I would assume Petway. It is picked off. And as I mentioned, that might ought to be a late hit. And it will be. Got a flag thrown on a little bit of what we call a cheap shot.
Conversion muffed by Miller.
Of course, it is a dead ball, but the infraction is going to count. But the time is going to run out, and I don't know that it's not relevant from that perspective. Got an unsportsmanlike call. It is going to go against Wilcox Central. They'll let the clock continue to run. Doesn't look like Bayside is going to have to snap the football again, and this one will be over in a 41-20 contest. Well, they've stopped the clock at 30 seconds. It's been an unusual fourth stanza. Can't figure out if it's a running clock or not. It's run through breaks, through timeouts, and then it's stopped on a penalty and on a kick return. But here's what we can tell you. The ball game is, for all practical purposes, over. Bayside will improve to 4-0 on the year, 2-0 in region play. Wilcox Central will go to 0-3 overall, 0-2 in the region. Barrett Trotter will win his 4th straight. New head coach at Bayside Academy, and Coach Cheatham at Wilcox Central will lose his 3rd straight as the new first-year coach in Camden. And Bayside lining up for a kickoff with the clock's running. So not going to have to. Ball game is over. It's a 41-20 win. Bayside just outside of the top 10 in 4A football. Can they crack the top 10 now with a 4-0 mark? And what's the health status of Damian Tate? Questions to be answered during the week as we get ready for Jackson next Friday night. Thanks so much for watching our coverage. Great to have you on the other end of the broadcast. Thanks so much to all the folks here at Bayside, David Kane and company, for making it possible that we bring you coverage every Friday night. And tonight, a special thank you to M&M Investigations, M&M Security, and PPP Services, exclusive providers of your coverage on a Friday night. For the crew, James Crenshaw producing, Brian McCullough on camera, I'm Robert Williamson. We'll see you next Friday in Jackson.